Hey, welcome to the first episode of my new show where I'm going to paint in watercolors. I thought that this would be a pretty good time for us to become a little more intimate than we usually are. We're going to paint, well, landscapes, figures, flowers, whatever really strikes me in the moment, and I think you're going to really enjoy everything that we do here. Anyway, I'd like to dedicate this first episode to my good friend Randy, who has inspired me so much, and I believe that it's safe to say he's inspired me to create this new series. And with that, I'd like to show you the colors we're going to be using for this particular series. We're going to be using Aurelin, cadmium scarlet, rose madder, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, and viridian. And with just these 6 colors, we're going to be able to paint just about everything. Well, let's go ahead and turn toward the paper here. I'm using 300-pound paper on a watercolor block. Excuse me, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here, but I'm using 300-pound paper on a watercolor block. Now, 300-pound paper is a little unusual, but I like it because it doesn't really require any prepping or anything like that. You don't have to stretch it. Usually when you paint on 140 pound is the standard for watercolor paper, you usually have to stretch that paper before you start painting on it, unless you use a block. But even when you have it on a block, it tends to warp a little bit when you add water. But 300-pound paper doesn't really warp unless you add a lot of water, and I do mean a lot of it. Well, I don't know how much water we're going to be using today, but let's go ahead and get started on this. And I just want to show you some of the tools that I've got here. I've got a larger palette on hand here with the same colors that I just showed you. And I've got these here just so I hold a little bit more space to mix because, you know, Randy gave this to me a while ago and I really do love it. It's great to carry around places and all that, but it is a little bit tiny for what we're going to be doing right here. This is more of a little sketchbook kind of thing. So if you're going out and, you know, you got a little Altoid tin can, like, and some pans that you can put in here, little half pans. These are half pans, by the way. These are not full pans. These are half pans. You can fit 6 of them in this little Altoid tin like this. And, well, I don't know if Randy made this for me or not, but I really do love it. And, well, thank you, Randy, for giving this to me. It means the world to me. Anyway, let me show you some of the brushes we're going to be using. I've got a flat brush, very simple flat brush. We're going to use this to paint a lot of architecture. It's really good for architecture, I think. Flat brushes are usually good for painting very geometric type things. And then I've got a big round brush made with natural hairs. That flat brush was made with synthetic hairs. This brush, the round brush, is one of the most useful brushes we have. And this can do just about everything. We can paint entire paintings with this if we want to, but we've got a few brushes on hand to make things a little easier. So this brush is made with natural hairs, sable hairs, and boy, it really does carry its weight. The natural hairs tend to carry a lot more water in them than the synthetic hairs do. That's one of the biggest differences. Also, they tend to spring back into place a little bit more easily. Well, sometimes they bend any which way they want. The synthetic hairs tend to stay in one place. And then we've got, let me show you this one. This one is another round brush. This one just has a finer point on it, so any little details and stuff like that, this is a little bit better for. So that's just to use in place of the big round. But I think most of the time we'll probably be using the big round because we got a lot to do in a hurry. This is an oval mop brush. We use this just to drop in a whole bunch of color in one place, and I don't know if we're going to be doing that a lot this episode, but it's here if we need it. It's always nice to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. And then I've got a liner brush. It's a little rough, it's seen some action, but if we ever have any fine details, well, very fine details, we'll be able to use this and it'll get the job done in a hurry. I also have some tissue paper here. This is just a roll of really cheap toilet paper. It doesn't really have any texture on it, which makes it great for lifting color in case you ever have to get it off the paper. It's one of the things about watercolor painting is that you can't really, well, paint over things because watercolor is a transparent medium, so you have to get out a little piece of paper every now and then just dab at the paint that you put down. And if you're using colors like I'm using here, it makes the job a lot easier because these colors are not really, really heavy stainers. When I say staining, that means that the paint goes into the paper and won't come up. That's what that means. And then the last tool that I really want to show you today is my bucket. I've got this bucket with 3 wells on it, and there's a method to this particular bit of madness. This bucket, each well has a purpose. This little well over here is one that I use to clean off my brush in, okay? And then I clean it off again in the second one just to get all the remaining paint off of there, okay? But this well over here is the one I use for painting. That way I have really clean color all the time, and I get the brightest stuff you could possibly get from the colors you have. And that's just what I use this bucket for. That's my little system for that. I think it works very efficiently. And I also have this round here that's served me for years. This one is made with synthetic hairs. And you know what? It's really on its last legs. All the paint has come off of it. It's chipped off over time and the ferrules come loose and I had to tape it on. It's kind of holding on by a thread. But somehow it still manages to maintain its shape and somehow it's still kicking. This brush has kind of worked its way through many masterpieces that I've painted over the years, even though it's just a cheap brush that I've had for the longest time. Well, sometimes it's not about what tools you have, it's about how you use your tools. I think that's probably the takeaway here. Anyway, if you look at the pad here, I've created a nice little drawing. And I believe in putting a strong drawing on your watercolor paper before you paint. Because if you go in with no drawing or anything, you can do that. But it's a little harder to get all that stuff laid in if you don't have a drawing. It makes it a lot harder. It's nice to have a little guideline before you do this, and I always recommend you do a drawing before you start painting. There's no shame in it. Everybody does it. Well, most people. I don't know anyone who doesn't, but then again, I don't know that I know a lot of watercolorists. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into our colors right now. I think that, well, we're going to start off with the sky colors here because that just seems like a good place to start. You want to start off with the light colors. Start out with the light colors. So what I'm going to do here, my paper is at kind of an unusual angle. Oops. Looks like I got a little bit of color on my brush still from the previous painting. Yeah, if that happens, you just go ahead with the water and you brush it out, and now no one can really see all that because it's so light. Alright, so what we're going to do here is get this paper nice and wet, okay? Get the paper nice and wet, because what we're going to do is we're going to lay in a little bit of a wash. This is going to be our sky wash. I don't know what it is about me and the sky, but I like painting skies. Skies are always one of the first things I like to paint in a painting. This is something you don't really have to put down a drawing for. Ooh, got ourselves a little bit of a drip right there. Yeah, that happens when you put the painting at an angle like this. So if you paint an angle like this, you got to be careful. I just do this because it makes the painting a lot easier to see on camera. But when you're painting your own painting, you can go ahead and, put the paper at any angle you want. You can put it at a 45-degree angle. You can, put it just about upright like I have here. You can take the paper and lay it completely flat. That's the thing about art. Just about every choice you make is valid in art. And remember, in case you get any color or too much water on here, if you get too much water, you can go in and clean up a little bit of that. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. You can also go in with a flat brush if you want, and you can clean up a lot of that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some, let me see if I can show you this. I might not be able to show you every color mix, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot of my cobalt blue here. I'm going to get that cobalt blue in there, okay? And what do I think I want to do? Do I want to get a little bit of that rose madder? Oh, I don't know, but I might get a little bit of rose madder. Okay. I want this to be mostly cobalt blue though. So let's get a little bit more cobalt blue. There we go. Oh, there's that cobalt blue. I have to say, I really do enjoy doing watercolor paintings with cobalt blue. Alright, we got a really nice color there, so let's go ahead and use that. So, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go up near the top. Now, I've showed people before that when you paint with watercolors or you paint with oils, it doesn't matter. The colors are always darkest at the top, aren't they? Yeah, they tend to be darkest at the top. And if you encounter some dry areas, you might notice some, because you'll start seeing that dry brush effect where it looks like there's no water, or at least all the water has been absorbed, and you start seeing textured marks. If that happens, just go in and brush it over, because sometimes you'll go in there and, you know, you'll go in there with the intent of getting all that paint down, but sometimes it doesn't quite work out the way you imagined. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be careful here and try not to get Lady Liberty's horns. In case you haven't noticed, we're painting the Statue of Liberty today. Yeah. I painted this picture before, but I painted it on an oil painting. But now I painted it again on this watercolor pad here, and boy, this is a little bit of a watercolor is a bit of a different beast, and anyone who's ever painted before will tell you that watercolor is not an easy medium. It is not. And the sooner you can accept how difficult the medium that you chose is, the easier it's going to be to cope with it, I think. But I'm not afraid of it. I've been around watercolors this whole time. I've been around for watercolors a lot of my life. I was doing watercolors, for the longest time, and then I stopped because I got really into oil painting for the longest time. And at one point my girlfriend really encouraged me to start doing watercolor paintings again. So I got into it again, and then I started working, and you know what? I really enjoyed it. And I still enjoy it to this day. So I guess we all have my girlfriend to thank for all this. I have my girlfriend and all the rest of my friends. Oh, I get so many people that tell me they like my watercolors. I always appreciate all the compliments. Okay, we need to work a little quicker here. Man, paper really absorbed that water, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Well, maybe we can go in here and get a little bit more water on there. You got to be careful with the water, because one of the things that can happen when you start, fooling around with your water and all that is you can start to create blooms. And what a bloom is when you paint and the paint dries and you decide to re-wet it. Okay, let's go ahead here. Yeah, there it goes. You decide to re-wet it. What happens is, if you re-wet it after the paint is dried ever so slightly, the water will displace the pigment that's on the paper. Okay? So that's what's happening, or what's bound to happen here pretty soon. I've been dry brushing. I didn't get the paper wet enough. Well, sometimes that happens. Yeah, there it goes. And now we got it lighter near the base right here. That's good. Okay. So now we're going to go in with a little bit of our rag here, our toilet paper rag, and we're just going to dab at this. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to dab at this. And believe it or not, that's going to be the easiest way to create some cloud-like looks here. Okay? So we're going to go up in here, dab away at that a little bit. All right? going to go up in here and just put down a little bit more color on that. Alright. Maybe get a little bit more rose madder in there. Yeah. Okay. There it goes. There. There. Very good. Oops. Hold on there. Cool. Okay. Now, let's just dab around the edges right there. Okay. And we'll go back in with a little bit more of the blue color. There it goes. Very good. Now I changed my composition from what it originally was when I was working on the oil painting. What I did with it is I decided to add some birds because I thought it would be a little bit more dynamic to have the birds. Okay. Let's go in here and lift a little bit of that up. The joys of using colors that don't stain that much. It's very nice. It's very nice. There. Okay. And we'll just bring that right up in there, and we'll lift a little bit of that. If you need to get yourself a new piece of, tissue, you go right ahead. Do whatever you got to do to make this painting work. I remember having a teacher once who told me that watercolor is a funny way of just taking control of the painting all by itself. Sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate, and boy, I guess I got to agree. Sometimes watercolor does not. Okay, let's go ahead and re-wet this little area. Yeah, you see how that works? We got ourselves a non-staining color here, so it's a lot easier to go into the little places like this and re-wet stuff. Alright? And that way, if we ever make mistakes, if we make big old blunders, we can go in and just make like it never happened. Do a little bit of pretending. Okay. Let's go in here now and just give that a little dab. Okay. Okay. Yeah. There it goes up in there. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Whew. I'm already hooting like an owl today. Already hooting like an owl. Well, that's how I know this painting's gonna be something else, right? If I'm hooting like an owl, whew, that's how you know it's a tough one. Well, it ain't the easiest painting in the world, but it's a fun painting. And I really like the little extra little bits of pieces that the birds add to this piece. Makes it a lot more interesting to look at when the piece has the asymmetrical balance about it. Because that was the one thing I didn't like about the oil painting that I did of it, was that it didn't have the birds there. So when I looked at the piece, I just kind of felt like, well, this is okay, I guess, but it's also missing something. I realize, oh my goodness, it's missing a little bit of that extra X factor, or that it factor, X factor, it factor, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's just, you know, the little compositional thing that really makes the piece look better than you possibly could have imagined any other way. Okay. Sometimes the colors bleed into what you're doing, and you know, you get all frustrated and all that. Well, let's go ahead and I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take some of this Aurelin and bring it over here, and we're going to get a little bit of rose madder on that. And we're not going to use a lot of it. No. We're going to use just a little bit of rose madder. Well, rose madder is a weak color, but boy, he really got it in the action, didn't he? Well, that's the thing about colors. You got to watch out for them. They got minds of their own. We want more Aurelin to the rose madder on this one. So we're going to shift that toward yellow, that Aurelin, and then we're going to get ourselves kind of a raw sienna type color, because when you mix rose madder and Aurelin together, you get a very pleasant raw sienna type color. We're going to add lots of water to that, so I'm going to reach into my painting water well and really dilute that color. Yep. And now let's go up in here, and with this round brush, we're just going to go near the top here. Okay. There it goes. Add a little bit of something. There it goes. We're going to lift a lot of this. We're not going to keep it completely like this. Just FYI on that one. I want to just get it in there, and you know what? Maybe we want a little bit more rose madder on that one. I don't know. Remember, you can always take away what you've done with these colors, because they're non-staining colors. Remember that. So don't let yourself get all stressed out and all that. Just, you know, go in, dab at it. There it goes. There it goes. And we can go back in later and, you know, change some of this up if we really feel like it. There we go. That's one of the fine things about having a technique like this, is we can just go in and draw. Oh yeah. Draw it with a wet piece of paper towel, and we're kind of just picking things up and letting things decide, letting the paper decide, really. That's why one of the reasons I love this medium is it's so free. Okay, so we got that in there, and let's go in and don't take everything up, but take some of it. Okay, there it goes. Maybe we'll go up in here and yeah, just take some of what we got up here. And right around the birds there. There it goes. Okay. And, you know, down here too. There it goes. Okay. Very good. And we'll just leave it like that. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. So now let's go in, and maybe we'll use a dry piece of paper towel for this one. Or not paper towel, but tissue paper. Let me set my brush down while I do this. I don't want to be going in all gung-ho and all that. Yeah, I'm going to get that color right up. What we're doing is we're just leaving that hint of the color that we were using. Just a hint of it. Okay. Oh, we're getting a lot of blooms up in the sky here. Well, I don't know if that was necessarily my intention, but you know what? Sometimes, like I say, Watercolor will take control of the painting and do its own thing if you let it. Sometimes that's good. Other times, you know, you struggle because you're trying to, you know, keep yourself loose while you're doing this. All right. Now, remember in watercolor that we start from light to dark. Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of yellow. Just the lightest bit of yellow. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to add the lightest bit of my cadmium scarlet to that aurelin yellow. Okay? Just the lightest amount. Okay, okay, good, good. I got the lightest amount in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel this and see if it's still damp here. And if it is, I'm going to refrain from painting these birds. But since it feels like they're good to go, I'm going to go in with that aureolin. Sometimes it's a hard thing to pronounce. Aureolin. That aureolin and that cadmium scarlet. I'm just going to paint those birds that color. There it goes. Now what I might do is get out my thinner brush. What I'm going to do first, though, is because I just cleaned off this round brush here, I'm going to take a hold of the brush like this, aim it downward and off to the side, and you want to be sure to do this in the place where you're not going to get a whole bunch of paint or anything everywhere, but there's not going to be any paint in the brush. It's just going to be water. You just want to swirl it around, okay? You swirl it around, and that brings the brush to a point. You do this motion, but you do it real fast off to the side. I'm not going to do it over here because I don't want to get anything on the camera. And that brings the brush to a nice little point like that, you see? It's very useful. Okay, let's go ahead and take this brush right here. We're going to just, you know, take a little bit of water on that and swing that to a point. And boom, we got ourselves a little bit of point right there, don't we? Yeah, we do. Okay, let's go ahead and, well, you know what I think I might do is I might, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little yellow here, that aureolin, and I'm going to go right to the very top, right there. Ooh, yeah. And I'm going to get a little bit more color on this one. I'm going to make sure this one's nice and strong. Okay? There it goes. Because I'm just painting the flame up there. Now we got to wait for a couple of things to dry here, so what we can do is, actually we can go ahead and, you know, maybe take a little bit of water off of that one. Because if you leave a bunch of water and on stuff, it's going to take a little longer to dry, and, well, then it ain't going to be any fun for anybody. Okay, so what we can do is take our aureolin, alright, and now I think we're going to take just a little bit of Viridian. And you got to be careful with Viridian. Viridian likes to dry out in dry weather. So if you use Viridian, be sure you keep it wet when you use it. Otherwise, it is going to be hard to use. You want to try to keep a little bit of water on it every day. A little drop of water will take you a long way using Viridian. All right. So I'm mixing aureolin with the Viridian right here. I'm going to try to get that up. It's hard to show you the watercolor palette because, you know, it tends to drip. It tends to drip. So I'm just going to mix a lot of the aureolin in there. And then I'm going to get just the lightest bit of rose madder. Okay, that's more than enough actually. Sometimes rose madder will surprise you with how strong it is, even though it's supposed to be a weak color. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be, but sometimes it decides it wants to throw a fit and it's going to just come at you. Alright, let's go ahead and feel the surface there. Alright, if everything feels good, let's go ahead and cover this entire Lady Liberty here. Whew. Lady Liberty. Look at you. You know what I might do is mix a little bit more green in there. Just a little bit more of that yellow-green with the Viridian, okay? And the thing about Viridian is that it has a lot of texture in it because it's a granulating color. What that means is that when you have a granulating color, there's pigment texture to it. Each color has pigment texture. And Viridian has a granular texture to it because it granulates. What that means is that the pigment particles are kind of heavy, so they settle into the notches of the paper in between all the little fibers and all that, so that creates that slightly granular effect. Now, not every color has that, though. Rose Madder kind of has it, but not really. The reason it has it is because it has little vegetable pieces in there that tend to create that effect, even though, is it really granulating? Not so much. And Aureolin does not granulate like that because it tends to be a very finely ground pigment that has a light feel to it. And then, you know, cobalt blue, that granulates. It's got a very light texture. So, you got colors that granulate, colors that don't granulate. Cadmium scarlet has more of a powdery texture than a granular texture. And then Prussian blue, sometimes it's textural, sometimes it's not so much textural. Sometimes it's got some texture, sometimes it doesn't. You know, Prussian blue likes to play around with you like that and fool you. That's why I keep telling you guys, I warn you, colors, a lot of time they got a mind of their own. You gotta be careful with them. They're gonna mess with you. By golly, they will. They'll throw you for a loop. Okay, what we're gonna do now, I think, let's go ahead and feel that. Ooh, that's a little damp still, I think. Is that damp? Yeah, that's damp. Okay, let's go ahead with our Rose Madder and Aureolin mixture. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit more Rose Madder to the Aureolin this time. And I'm going to combine a little bit of cobalt in there, cobalt blue. Okay, so we're going to get like a very light brownish color. All right, so what we can do is we're going to go down in here, and everything that you see down and from here to here is going to be kind of this same color. Actually, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to do a little bit of a lighter color, but I want this to be really reddish. So let's just go ahead and cover this whole thing here. Okay? We're going to cover the whole thing. And you know, I could get my flat brush to do this, but I like using my sable brushes because, like I say, they carry a little bit more water. Now you see how I made a mistake right there? See how I made that mistake? Yeah, I can just go in there, lift that up, and now it's dry again. Okay? And now I'm just going to go back in with those colors again, that same color. Okay. And we're going to keep covering this entire thing. Now again, I want this to all be this same color here. We're going to paint shadows after we've painted this color. As you can see, the color tends to drip down and create that little bit of darker effect down below. Sometimes it's easier to lie your paper flat when you paint like this. I just do this again so that you can see a little more easily. So does that make it a little harder for me to paint? A little bit. But I don't mind. Let's see here. How does that feel? Oh, I don't know. I don't know about this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor. Almost got my paint all over the place there. You got to be a little careful when you do this. I'm going to anchor my pinky and cover this like that. There. Now we got our lightest color in there. I think that's good. I'm just going to follow that little ring there. Okay. And I'll go back in where I think there should be a little bit more texture maybe. Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, now what we can do is we can go in with a little bit more Aureolin or Aureolin. Man, I have the most trouble pronouncing that for some reason. Aureolin. And then I'm going to get the Rose Madder. And we're going to go in to this little area down here. Although we need to wait for that to dry a little bit, don't we? Yeah, so I'm just going to mix up a little bit of color, and this time I'm going to use a little bit more aureolin to the rose madder. I'll add a little bit of the cobalt blue in there. And that was a little greenish. Ooh, that was a little greenish. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, that's okay. We'll just add a little bit more aureolin and rose madder. A little bit more. Oh, these colors are such a joy to paint with. Sometimes you just can't help but play with them. And that's what I really recommend doing is, you just play with stuff and see what happens. You don't have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff right off the bat here. Okay, I think I got the color right there. Now let's focus on getting the color right here, because this is going to be a little bit more of a shadow color, right? Well, right. Whether or not you agree with me, it's right. Okay, those are a little dry too, so we can paint those right after that, and then we'll get to the rest of the stuff, and then we'll check out what's going on here. And if we have some time, we can repaint a little bit of the sky, because I'd like to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and let me see here. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, all right, and I'll take some rose madder genuine, and I'm going to get just a little bit of that aureolin, and I'm going to create myself a nice little shadow color here. All right. Yeah, that's a good looking color right there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's real dark and moody. I like that one. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Well, what do we think here? I think that we're going to add a lot of water to this. And this is going to be kind of a light shadow color. You know what I mean? Alright, so let's go in here. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's a pretty one right there. Oh, I like that color a lot. It's always a good idea to create more of a color than you think you're going to need. I know I keep saying it again and again and again, but it really is important to create more of a color than you think you're going to need, right? Because you don't want to be caught painting like this and discover, oh no, I wish I had created more of that. However, shall I finish this painting? Oh, there's been a couple of times where I've done that, where I've been painting something and thought to myself, oh boy. I mean, I was just painting the sky earlier and I thought that. Imagine how I felt. Well, don't put yourself in that position. Paint smart. Okay. So we got, well, let's go ahead and tell you what we can do. We can paint a little something right there. Yeah, I can go down to those little cracks right there, crevices. All right, let's make some decisions here. I think what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to wet that a little bit. And I'm going to just, okay, I'm going to wet that and create a little bit of shadow there, because that is kind of draped in shadow, you know? Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Alright, so let's go in now to these areas. Introduce maybe a little bit more shadow there. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Alright. That's not bad at all. In fact, well, it's getting dry. It's not dry quite yet, but it's getting there. Alright. Let's go ahead and take a look at the birds up there, because we got to do something with them. We got to do a little something. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get a little bit of that cadmium scarlet in with the aureolin, a little bit more this time. And we're going to paint over all those birds, the whole thing, except for the edge, because we got to make sure to preserve what we painted there. These birds are going to be pretty colorful, actually. They're going to be like these little bright highlights over in the sky. Ooh, yeah, we got some nice colors there. Alright. This guy's going to have a little bit more body on that side. We'll paint his wing over here, and his wing over on the other side. Okay. Very good. All right, we got that. And now I'm going to swirl. Now I got my point back. So where do we want to go next? Do we think that that's dry? Do we think that's dry? Ooh, I think that's dry. So let's go ahead and, well, maybe we can think about being brave in a second. I want to get a little bit of Lady Liberty again. So let's go back into our Viridian. Let's go back into the Viridian now. And we want a middle tone color, don't we? Yeah, we want a middle tone color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of rose madder just to tone it down a little bit, because you know it's still going to be a shadow color and all that, even though we got a lot of the Viridian in there. Okay, got a lot of Viridian in there. And then what else I might do, I might take a little bit of the aureolin so that we got something a little darker after we use the rose madder on it. And then we can, well, I don't know. Do I want to use this brush or do I want to use my liner brush? Well, let's go ahead and use the, let's see how this goes. Let's go in with our script liner here. And let's, okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sometimes you got to be real careful with this kind of thing. All right. All right. There's Lady Liberty. There's my gal. I was wondering when she was going to show up. All right. Come on. There it goes. There she is. Doing a little turn on the catwalk up there. Well, you know, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I wonder sometimes what Lady Liberty thinks of us right now, looking down at us. She's probably just thinking that after all these years she wants to go to lunch. Don't we all? Alright, remember that the shadow is coming from the left. Alright? So when you do your little shadow things here, you want to do that in accordance with the little spikes on her crown. Now, what you see happening here is that the crown is kind of shedding some shadows on her face there. In addition, she might be turning away from it a little bit. Okay, so there's going to be, well, the light might be hitting that one on that side, and then it'll be hitting this one on the other side, and so on and so forth. All right, so that's pretty nice right there. I like that. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's take a look at this one now. Yeah, this is how we paint fine detail here. This one we can kind of just cover in this color that we created. This very light color. Yeah. Perfect. And let's be careful here. We don't want to ruin everything that we did. So we'll just go in here and we'll paint part of it there. Alright. Now we got enough leeway here to paint the rest of her in this color. Now if you're doing this on your own time, you know what I like to say, you can spend all the time you want, you know, just hacking away at this, painting as much of her as you want, putting as much detail. But since I only have a limited time with you today, I have to be a little, I guess you could say, sloppier about all the details that I add. I can't be as careful as maybe I would like to be. And you know, that's just a fact of doing this. So, again, if you want to put a bunch of details on your pieces, Go right ahead and do it. Go right ahead and do it. But for today, we've got to be a little quicker. Okay. So we got that color down. Let's go in here. What other colors we got to deal with? All right. Let's go down here. There. Okay. There she goes. And we'll get a light one right here. There. Got another one that's going down in there. Another one up here. There we go. Yeah, that's looking pretty decent right now. That's looking pretty decent. Okay. Very good. Let's take a little bit more of that color. There, right here. There. Alright. Yeah, these folds are something else, I'll tell you what. These folds can be a real killer. Folds are one of those really challenging things that you gotta watch yourself with. They can be a little mind-numbing to paint, but they really do add a lot to a piece if you take the time to really paint them. Okay. Alright, we're just about done with the second layer. Well, we're not done quite yet, but we're getting there. We're done. Well, we're a good part of the way done here. Like I say, this is a challenging painting, so you got to brace yourself. Buckle up. We're in for the long haul on this one. Alright. Lady Liberty, standing tall, proud, watching over the masses. Oh, she is looking radiant today. I do declare. Lady Liberty. Look at her. Okay. Let's go up in here and we'll cover up a little bit of something right there. There we go. That's good. And then there's this little back piece right here where we can paint over that. There it goes. Yeah. Oh, this is a very attractive look for her. Whew, look at that. Whew, there I go. I'm hooting like an owl. Like I said, that's how you know it's getting hard. Alright, let's try to do this tastefully up here. Yeah. We're doing a lot of glazing here, if you haven't noticed. One of the main things we do in watercolor is glazing. And what that means is, well, you're going over a dry layer with another color to change the first color that you put down. Okay? So, you feel how this is getting dry. It's just about dry. Alright? So that's a pretty good way to, you know, change things, because the first layer is not going to be complete. You have to go in and lay down some more layers. And now, well, we got this little color here. Let's take a little bit more yellow on that. I don't feel like I want some more yellow. I want a real raw sienna type color when we go in this. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so what do we got here? What do we got? Ooh, yeah, that's a good color. Ooh, yeah. I am living large now. Okay. Whew. Listen to me hoot. Listen to me hoot. I sound ridiculous. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, we need to get some more rose madder in that. I wanted that to be a little redder. Okay. Okay, that's mighty cool right there. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that very much. Alright. Now, like I said, I want this layer beneath her pedestal to be a little different from what we painted down here. So I want this to be a little yellower, a little lighter. It's going to be about the same color as this here. Yeah. Now that's looking pretty sweet, huh? Yeah, that's looking real cool. Okay. Right here, we don't have to keep this right here like that, you know, with all that dark paint kind of accumulating at the bottom here. Alright. Right about here, we're going to start inserting some details with our brush right here. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to insert a little bit of a shadow on some of these parts. And what that shadow is going to look like, it's going to be kind of that, that bluish color that we had down here, right? So right about, here. Yeah, we're going to have that color down right here. Whew. That's looking pretty decent. Oops, I didn't mean to get that yellow color. I accidentally went into the yellow. That was my mistake. Sometimes you make mistakes. And once you make them, you kind of just move on. I'm going to make some more of this color that I made earlier with the rose madder and the cobalt blue and the aureolin, that grayish color. Maybe add a little bit more blue in there. Yeah, just to spice it up a little. Okay. And we'll go right in here. Whew, oh boy. Oh, that was a smart color right there. Oh yeah. Oh, I am loving what I'm getting right here, because I am just getting the world at this point. Look at that. Look at that. All right, we're gonna try to draw this very straight. Just like that. Okay. And we can go over, you know, a lot of the brickwork over here. Let's go over some of this. Actually, I feel like I should probably do this with the liner brush, because this is real fine detail, you know. So it just seems like the thing to do. Okay. Maybe we'll go right here. Okay. All right. I'll just add a few more little things right here. And maybe, you know, we'll tack on some little accents at the edge here. There's another color that we really want to get. Here, let's do these. It's just a kind of a color that lingers down here too. Yeah. That looks nice. Okay. All right. Whew. Yeah, that was stressful, no doubt. Here's another color that we want to get, but we're not going to get it quite yet, I don't think. What we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix up a darker kind of, what brush do I want to use for this? I think we might need to use the flat brush for this next one. Oh, I know, we're getting out the flat brush. I wasn't expecting you to get so many tools out for this one, but we're actually getting more than I thought we would. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and combine some of the aurelin with the rose madder. Aurelin with rose madder. About even amounts. Actually, you might want a little bit more rose madder to the aurelin, because the thing that happens when you mix paints is that there's a little bit of a mixing cost, and there's a mixing arc. And what that means is that if you mix yellow and red together in equal amounts, the color is going to bend toward green because of the way that the color operates. Light has a funny way of affecting colors, and when there's just as much yellow as there is red, what tends to happen is it makes a very dull orange, right? Now that's not necessarily what we're looking for here. We're looking for something a little bit more brown. Okay? Alright. Now I've got something that I think is pretty brown. And you know what else we might do? You know what I might do? Is if I can't get something I really, really like, what I can do is I can mix the Prussian blue together, okay, with the cadmium scarlet, and that will give me a really dark brown color. And what I want to do with that is make sure that I have a little bit more cadmium scarlet to Prussian blue on this one. Now they're both really strong colors, so you got to be careful doing this. But if you get mostly cadmium scarlet, add a really decent amount of Prussian blue to it, you get this nice thick red color. Hold on. Colors are dripping, but there it is, right there. Oh yeah, I know the colors are dripping, but there it is. I wish there were an easier way for me to show you my palette right now, but really this is the best I can do for you at the moment. Okay, let's go ahead and go across this painting. Alright, now, ooh, you know what I might do? You know what I might do? I'm going to take my flat brush and clean that off, because I got a feeling about this one. I got a feeling we're going to need something a little darker over here. Alright, see, I've got that blue color there, which is nice and all, but I really want to get this color in there. Okay, and that's a really easy way to paint a wash like that. You glaze over what you did, and there. That's pretty much good for it. And you go in here and Alright, we got that. Cool. Cool. And what we might do here is kind of just go up in here. And do a little line right in there. And we might want a little bit more aureolin in there. Might want a little bit. Okay. Okay. And we'll just cross the line there. That's good. Alright. And what we can do is with this color we created, we'll check if this is still, okay, that's still a little wet. That is more dry. So now is the opportunity for us to go in with our liner brush. And I want to get a lot of cadmium scarlet on this one. I'm going to mix it with that little bit of the aureolin. The aureolin. Aureolin. That's a funny word, isn't it? Okay, then we're going to go in here. And then right here. Right there, we're going to just give it a little bit of an outline like that. Ooh, ooh. Yeah. That was still a little bit wet, but that might still work to our advantage right now. Okay. So what I might do, I might tame that color down a little bit. Right. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes. Well, that is the great thing about using these colors, is that even the staining one like cadmium scarlet will still cooperate with you. Thank goodness for that, right? Alright, let's feel this guy. Alright, I think he's good to go. Okay. There it goes. Okay. He's a little abstract, but that's okay. That's okay. Some of these colors are taking a while to dry up there, huh? Well, while we're at it, let's go ahead and add that little color right up here in that flame. There it goes. That feels good. That feels real good. All right, this color right here feels like it's getting a little dry now. So we can maybe go into a little bit of our cadmium scarlet here if we want to take it down a notch, and we'll go right in there. Okay. There it goes. And now we can draw all these little fine details in these areas here. Some fine details are kind of tricky when you get down to it. There's all kinds of fascinating blues and browns and stuff. Isn't it wild that we use all these, colorful colors to paint all these crazy things here? Let's go across right here. And we'll just make this stand out right there. Yeah. I know I did it. I did it. That was my call to make. But I made it. No shame. Okay, let's just take a little bit of this color right here and just drop it in there. Yeah. There it is. Ooh. Whenever you want something to bleed in a certain direction, you kind of want to just go in and drop it on the shadow side. And a lot of times when you drop it on the shadow side like that, it'll just bleed down a little bit, but mostly it'll linger in the spot where you placed it. Now that isn't an absolute guarantee. Sometimes things will have a funny way of doing whatever they want in watercolor, but I think you're kind of getting the idea about that pretty quickly here, aren't you? Yeah. Like I say, things, they kind of just do whatever they want in watercolor. Alright. There we go. Look at us go. What do you think? Should I get a little bit more of that cadmium scarlet in here and line these things? Yeah, I probably should. Because we gotta get this show on the road. Here. There that goes. Yep. Okay. You can go over to the other side here. And we're kind of just going to suggest things over on that side. Now, since this is a standing color, we can do another wash over this and nothing's going to happen to it. Whereas it would be a little bit more difficult to do a wash over, you know. It would be a little bit more difficult to do a wash over the rest of these colors. Because some of them are, since they're non-standing, they're going to lift a little easier once you start trying to play around with them and stuff. So, if you're going to use standing colors or non-standing colors, there's a pro and a con to each color that you use. You know, like I say, for the non-standing colors, the pro is that you can lift them. But the con is that, well, if you try to do a glaze, you can lift the color, which can cause you some problems when you're painting. Alright, look at how easy it is to do detail with this color. But, you know, you use the standing color, you paint with that, and, well, the con is that if you screw it up and just completely blow it, it's going to be pretty tough to get it up. But, if you get it right, it's not going anywhere. That's one of the biggest pros about using it. Okay, let's just pull this around over to that side. Yeah, that's the stuff, right? Yeah, I know. Now, the focus of the painting is not going to be, you know, the pedestal here. We're just painting the pedestal with some accents and stuff, so that when you look at it, it at least looks halfway interesting. Alright, paint that right there, there. Is this dry yet? I don't know, but let's just, nope, it's not really dry yet. Ah, well. Oh, well. And we'll go down here. There it goes. All the way to the edge. Perfect. And we'll go in here. Okay. Just a little bit there. Give it a little bit of encouragement right there. There it goes. Okay. Alright. And on the shadow side, we might want to make it a little bigger. Here. There. That was a tough one. I don't think you know how tough. Okay. Alright. Take a little bit of that and go in here with the color. Sometimes when you mix colors up, you need to be careful with them because sometimes the mixes will separate. That happens a lot with mixes that you make with cadmium colors and stuff. Alright, we'll go in here and really spruce that up. There's going to be some light stuff in here happening. Okay. Light stuff in there. Okay. That's a little too dark. We want this to be a little lighter. There it goes. Yeah. Not too dark, not too dark. We can always go over stuff if we want. There it is. Okay. And let's see here. Maybe we want this to be a little little darker up here. Because maybe there's a shadow coming down in here. Okay? Alright. Alright. And then just down in here, I think there's going to be a little bit more of a shadow right here. I don't know if this is necessarily a job for the liner brush, but the liner brush is certainly doing it. Okay. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. There. I'd say the liner brush handled that pretty well, huh? Now we're gonna kind of just go ahead and here. Just like that. We're kind of just dry brushing this in, aren't we? Yeah, maybe a little bit. You know what we can do? Just kind of tone that down a little bit. You know, sometimes we get a little overzealous. Sometimes we get a little overzealous. And maybe that's what I'm doing here. Getting a little overzealous. Alright. I'll just take a little bit more of that color that we were laying in and right there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right there. That's the good stuff right there. Oh baby. Alright, let's go in here with some of the cat scarlet right in here. Okay. And maybe take a little bit of the Prussian blue. Just add a little bit more on that. Ooh. Ooh. Sometimes I forget how strong that Prussian blue is. Ooh. It can really overpower a painting. Yeah, be careful with that Prussian blue. Okay. Over that way. There it goes. Alright, let's go ahead and cover some bits over here. Just to give that a little stronger indication of shadow down there. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty decent right there. Let's go ahead and cover some of this up. Okay. Whew. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. There. Just want to get those little details right there. Here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. What can we do next, I wonder? Well, here's what I'll do next. There. There. Let's take a little bit of cadmium scarlet right in there. And there. Okay. That's pretty good. And maybe we want a little bit more blue there to really accentuate that. Okay. Alright. And we'll add some more cad scarlet in there and come down in here. We don't have to add a whole bunch of details and stuff, but we'll just, add some little things here and there. Like maybe over on the edges, we'll do that so it shows up a little better. Yeah, just like that. You know how it is when you do little edges like that. Sometimes you got little things that kind of just show up. Alright. Here. Let's go ahead and do this one right here. Let's do these again. Alright. Yep, just capturing detail. That's really what we're doing here before we finally decide to put the finishing touches on all of this. And we got this over here that we can do. Maybe we want to lift some of that up. Maybe. Yeah, maybe we want to very lightly decide to go in like that. And just add kind of a few touches to things here and there. Yeah. I don't know if the rest of this is dry right now, but we can go back to it in a second. And what I really want to do now, I think, is I'll take my flat brush. Okay. And I'll get some of the water off of that. And now I'll take this color that I made with the Prussian blue and the cadmium scarlet. And I want a little bit more cadmium scarlet, Prussian blue. And I'm just going to ride the edge there all the way to the side. Okay, just like that. There. And this is going to keep you on the edge of your seat while you do this one. Whew. What you can do is, if you really want to capture that kind of broken up brickwork type look, is you can go in with a broken type approach like this. I think that might look neat. That's just a little bit of inspiration I had just now, by the way. Remember that I've painted this in oil paints, but I've never painted it in watercolor. This is my first time painting this one in watercolor. So I'm problem solving on the fly here. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. It actually looks pretty neat. Alright, let's go in there with, some of these little things right here. Okay. Yep, we'll just create all these little bricks and stuff. There it goes. There. Do you necessarily have to create every little brick? Probably not. You could probably get away with skipping a few here and there, but you kind of want to have a lot of them to really have that, brick, that brick look. There it goes. Over here, you'll have kind of the same look going on. Right? There. So yeah, that's what it looks like, one side versus the other. That's what it looks like if you don't break up your brickwork. Kind of like the way that the broken up brickwork looks a little better, Yeah, that's how I feel right now. We'll see how I feel about it later. Very lightly, we'll just put a little bit of an outline on that. Alright, oops. Okay, it's a good thing you can't really see that all that well. Alright, over here we'll go in, and I'm gonna just, let's see if we can dance the line between these two. There it goes. So we got this little shadow area right here. Right in there. That is a curious looking one, isn't it? A little bit. Yeah. There. Okay. What I might do. Oops. What I can do. Let's take the liner brush. Alright. With just the lightest amount of water. Let's create kind of a bleed effect. Just like that. Alright. I know we've got some nice stuff going on here. Got some really nice stuff happening. Let's keep going with that. Whoops. You know, if you accidentally put another brick where there is supposed to be one, you know, whatever. That's part of painting. Making silly mistakes like that. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, that's probably good. Like I say, you don't have to paint every individual little thing. Okay. So let's make some big decisions now about what's going to happen with Lady Liberty up here. Because, you know, she's got some things she's got to be doing. She's got some dates to keep. Hearts to break, all that good stuff. And I don't know. Let's take the Prussian blue here. And I think we've got a color we can work with. Now, we got to be very careful with this color. Okay? Because we don't want to, you know, kind of ruin everything or all that. There. Okay. There that goes. Whew. Yeah, that's the way. And up in here we'll kind of just... Yeah, it's a stressful little thing. Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm just using a little bit of that Prussian blue to really capture some of the darkness in between all this. There. Okay. Because there's a lot of little dark areas in between all the little pieces of Lady Liberty and all that. You know. You know how it is. And up in here we got an arm that we have to render. Okay, let's make sure that we've got all the shadow sides of her. And make sure we got her crown in place and all that. Ooh. Okay, Lady Liberty. I'm going to try to not fail you here. Whew. Okay. And we'll put one more right there. That's good. I bet you were wondering when I was going to get out the Prussian blue, weren't you? Well, I believe now is the time. Alright. Let's just go ahead and throw a little bit of blue on that. Yeah, there it goes. And we'll throw some more stuff on there. Oh, Lady Liberty, you and your toga. It's always a toga party with you, huh? Toga party, toga party, toga party. It is sort of humorous to look at her kind of just lounging around in a toga all day long. Kind of wonder if this was the equivalent of sweatpants back in those days, when people actually wore these. I know it's not really, but it's fun to think about. Okay. Alright, we're getting some more definition on her, so that's good. I think things are really starting to pick up here. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get some of that right there. We don't want to overdo it on her, but we do want to get a lot of detail on her. Now, Lady Liberty is the focus of the painting. So, Lady Liberty is where the majority of the detail should be focused. You always want to focus the majority of the detail on the subject, or where the focal point is going to be, I should say. Because if you're not focusing a lot of your detail on where the focus is supposed to be, then you're really detracting from, the painting. Alright, so we'll make some decisions here. Do we want a little bit more down here? Or does it feel like things are starting to get a little bit more complete? Well, let's go ahead and paint this a little bit down here. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty cool. Alright. You know what we can do? Well, you know what I might do? I might take a little bit more of one of our colors and focus it around that area. Okay. There it goes. We'll go right up in here too. Okay. Looking good, Lady Liberty. This is where we're getting really into what we're doing here, and it's hard to keep us ongoing commentary. Okay. Starting to see some more value in her. Right there. Yeah. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of a draw line right here. Yeah, I think that's about good. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Yeah, maybe just in here. Maybe just in here we'll redouble our efforts, so to speak. And there it is. Okay. Whew. And what do you say we get a little bit more color in this area right here? There. And we'll just dry brush in a couple of things right here. There. Maybe some dark accents up there. There it goes. Cool. Yeah, that doesn't look half bad. All right. So what can we possibly do next, do I wonder? Oh, I think I know. Let's take some of the relaxation with a little, well, let me clean off that color again because that color's getting a little dirty. Let's take a little aureolin with some of the cat scarlet. And I know what I'm going to do. This is going to be a tricky move right here. I'm going to want some paper towel on hand for this one, I think. But I hope this is going to work. Cross your fingers. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. We got kind of this golden yellow type color that we're working with right now. And I'm hoping this is going to work. I'm hoping I don't blow everything right now. Whew. Come on. There it is. Okay. Now, what we can do is with that color set down, we'll just take a little of it off. So that it doesn't appear too strong against Lady Liberty right there, you know? Wouldn't that be tragic for all the spotlight to be stolen from Lady Liberty? That was a pretty cool color, I think. We might try that one again down below here. But we want a little bit more water on this, okay? So let's try again. Just with, ooh, yeah. Yeah, let's get a little bit more paint on that though. The thing about watercolor is you always, or most of the time, you want to try to get a color that's maybe a little darker than you think it should be. Alright? So that's what I'm doing here. Now, because I got a color that was really dark on that pedestal right there, I've already got a color that's working pretty well there. I think I've got a color that's working pretty well down here. Though I might get it a little bit more intense. Just a little bit more intense. Let's take a smidge more of the aurelin and throw it down in there. Aureolin and cat scarlet. That's all we're using right now. A lot of times you can get away with just using a couple of colors like this. You don't have to, you know, hammer all of it away all to death like that. Okay. Okay, we got ourselves a pretty decent color right here. I think that's going to be pretty good. All right. So now what we can do is go in with a little bit of a light brown color over here. You know what we can do? We can take a little bit of the Prussian blue and go in there. Yeah. And we can do it that way. Sometimes you just gotta throw that Prussian blue in there. Okay. Hold on. very careful. I'm going to be very careful here not to get that color. If I get too close. Alright, alright. I was afraid I was going to drag that color down into what I was doing. That would have been horrible. Okay. Alright. Maybe if we can, let's just get something more right there. Okay. That's about good, I think. That's about good. So let's start thinking about maybe touching up a few of the areas up in the sky, you know, where we probably left a few things undone. Okay. So I'm just gonna get my cobalt blue, my rose madder, and I'm gonna go up into a couple of areas right up here, just like this. Okay. Just like that. And then maybe with the cobalt blue and the rose madder again, I'll go ahead and get some of these areas down here next to this bird. Well, since we are talking about, okay, let's go ahead and get some more cobalt blue on here. There. More cobalt blue. Okay. Now's the point where I want to just tap away at these. And what we can do, is we can, yeah, that's what we can do. Go down here. And since they're right next to the shadow area, then we can lightly remove them right here. Okay. Good. Down here, you know, you want to remember that painting is not just about, you know, painting pretty pictures the first time around. It's also about corrections. And you know what? I will completely own up to it. I make mistakes too. Okay? I make mistakes too. Unfortunately. Unfortunately for my dubious paintings. Okay. Let's get a little bit more of the cobalt blue and go over here. And you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna go right in there. Right next to Lady Liberty. Right next to her flame up in the sky there. Oh, there it goes. Oh, Lady Liberty. Look at you. She's looking nice, isn't she? Yeah. Yeah, she'd look a little better if I got the sky right to begin with. Okay. Okay. And you know what? Let's go up in here. Hold on. A little bit of a sky thing to do right in there. Don't mind if I do. Be very careful if you decide to do this kind of touch-up. You don't want to ruin the horns. Those horns are one of the best decorations on her. Be very careful. Again, can't stress that enough. Be very careful. Okay. Get some more water. Oop. You know what? If it drips a little bit, that's okay. Because guess what? If it just drips a little bit, we're not in trouble. But if it drips a lot, well, we might be in trouble then. If it drips a lot, we might be in a lot of trouble, actually. Okay. That's good. Alright. We can go up in here and... Oh boy. This guy is actually not looking too shabby right now. Look at me, admiring my handiwork. Alright. Let's focus here. Now, on the side where she's lit, what you really want to do is really accentuate where you see her form there. Okay? You really want her to be all lit up there, and well, blue is a really good color to do it. Blue is actually a fantastic color to really draw attention to stuff like that, because blue is a very dark valued color. I don't know if you knew that or not, but if you didn't, you know now. Okay? There. This and that. This is me just dry brushing. Yeah. I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but it certainly does make some nice sounds, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Okay. Let's get some more of that cobalt blue in there. Let's get it all up in here. Yeah. Get it all up in there. That's how I want to do it. Okay. Yep, that's how we're gonna do it. Alright. Okay. Very good. Very good stuff. Let's go over here, get that done. And we want to add some water to some of this because this is getting a little bit much, especially over here. Alright. Cool. And maybe over here. Tell you what. I'm just going to get these crevices right here. There it goes. And over in here, we'll get some light stuff. Okay. Look at you, Lady Liberty. Look at you. You're looking all kinds of nice right now. Okay. Let's go in here and get these tips on these birds. Right there. There's one tip. And then there's another tip. Okay, and here's another tip. And right there. Get a little bit more Prussian blue in there. Yeah. Okay. There she goes. Whew. That cadmium scarlet and that Prussian blue is so useful. Really, really so useful. Go down here and we can create some more stark contrast down here maybe. There it goes. Alright. You know what we might want to do? What I might want to do on this one is I might want to take a little bit of the cadmium scarlet and go in there and just make it more of a reddish type color. There. There. I'm not going to leave a lot of it in there. I just want to leave some hints and stuff. And I'll go in with this and retrace some of that and add a few things here and there for for emphasis. Because, you know, maybe you want to add a couple of darks here and there to really, really push home the point. There. Okay. Alright. And we'll go in here and paint some of these. Notice how I'm anchoring my pinky across the paper. And I do that so my brush is, well, sort of steady. It's not perfectly steady. I wish I was perfectly steady all the time. It's important to go in after you've done all your brush work and, you know, redo a few things here and there, because cobalt blue and aureolin and viridian or rose madder, those are all really soft colors. So what tends to happen is you have a very soft painting after it's all said and done. So it really helps to go in with a couple stronger colors, and you don't need to go in with too much. Keep the shadow side a little darker than the other side. There. There it goes. Alright. We'll go up in here maybe. Just like that. And maybe take some more tissue paper here, and we can just lay this across and soften some of that stuff, because maybe you don't want it to be super strong. Who knows? Maybe you don't want it to be super strong. We can also take our liner brush again, that color. It really make her base stand out. And there it goes. There it goes. What do you think? Should I do anything right here? Too late, I already did. So if you didn't want me to, too bad. Cool. Oh boy. Sometimes you just get so into painting that you can't stop. You know, I make a joke sometimes that it takes a couple of people to paint a painting. One to actually paint the painting, and, you know, another guy to tell him when to stop. Okay, let's get some Prussian blue in there. I want this to be, you know, particularly dark up in there. Yeah. That's how we get that done. Okay. There's that guy. And then we'll go in here and there. And I wonder how much more we should do to this. Should probably color good at some point. Well, obviously we're going to have to color good at some point. We can't keep painting this forever, can we? Oh, I wish I could. But I'm just going to have to settle for getting it as good as I can in a short amount of time that I have with you today. And I think we might have ourselves a finished painting for today. So let's go ahead and sign the old name before I change my mind. Dip myself a little bit of cadmium scarlet there. And right here, I'll put my initials. Very small, very small. SK, just like that. And I really hope you enjoyed our first episode of watercolor painting here. I had a lot of fun painting it, and I hope you have a lot of fun trying it out. Or maybe you just want to sit back and relax and, well, see how we do these kinds of things. Watercolor is a very different experience. It's actually very difficult. But if you can master watercolor, you know what they say? You can master anything. Be sure to get all the paint off my brushes. We don't have to do a whole bunch of cleanup or anything because, well, there's not as much danger of ruining brushes if you leave a little bit of paint on them as there is in oil color. But still, I want to get a few things off. So a few pieces of tissue paper that got on that painting there. That sky was a little messy, but otherwise I really like the way it turned out. Again, really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll be back soon with something new, something different. Till then, with love from me to you, bye-bye.